Welcome to the Find Your Feminine Fire podcast. I'm your host, renowned sex and relationship coach Amanda Testa. And if you are looking to reclaim your sexual desire, take sex from a to-do to something you look forward to, and enjoy deeply connected relationships without adding more to your already full plate, then you are in the right place. Listen in to discover how to fan the flames of your feminine fire, fall in love with your sensual self again, and experience intimacy like never before, all in a way that feels really good to your system. Make yourself comfortable and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I am excited today because we're going to be diving into wealth activation and why women deserve to get paid. I am talking with the wonderful Kelly Noble. She is a quantum business coach and a wealth activator. And we're going to be diving into what it really means to bring in the wealth that we so need in this world, not only for yourself, but to better to serve our collective. So welcome, Kelly. I'm so glad you're here today. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Yes. Before we got on, we were just talking about, we love to do things that make our pussies tingle. And so, you know that about this podcast. So we're going to dive in with that, just energy to get started. But I'd love to learn a little bit more from you, Kelly, too, about kind of what led you into this line of work.
Yeah, I would love to. I feel like it resonates so deeply with so many women because we have learned how to survive in a very hyper masculine and usually a very hyper wounded masculine space. And I was that woman. I had a very long history of numbing, whether it was eating disorder, toxic men, drugs and alcohol, you kind of name it. And I constantly was trying to fill this void. And towards the end of that journey, I found a lot of peace, I put that in quotations, with goal chasing and success and accolades. And if I can do better and be more, I'll finally be seen by my parents and people will love me and I'll buy the car and people will accept me into their circle and I'll finally feel this love that I lacked so deeply within. And it drove me to just become so disassociated from my body, from my soul, from my happiness. And the very last year I was in luxury real estate. That was kind of my previous life. The very last year I sold almost 40 million in real estate and I kept getting more and more money. And I was like, oh, I thought when I had more, I would be happy. I thought this would be gone. I thought I would finally have time to go on vacation and travel the world and volunteer more. And it just never seemed to line up. And then I was outside arguing with the moon. I was like deep in a spiritual awakening and I was mad. I was pissed. I was like, I've been doing all the work. Why can't I just feel you? Like, what is happening? Like, I want to hear you. I need a sign and I need a sign so mother effing big that like, I cannot deny that you are connected to me. A week later, I got unexpectedly laid off from my job. I was building a house with the company that I was working for. We got a $35,000 deposit check back. And in that moment, it was filled with, I should have done more. Why me? I could have been better. And then almost like the next breath, I was flooded with so much gratitude because I remembered that argument with the moon. And I was like, oh, this was a gift. This has been given to me because I know that I'm meant for more. And I went on this deep journey of going to bed, like physically resting for weeks. I was so exhausted and peeling back some of those layers of my worth being tied around how much I could do and how much I could achieve and money and all of these things. And I found myself in a very incredible coaching certification program with the most aligned group of women, the most incredible mentor, dove into that, got 7 certifications. And I've always loved money, but I've alchemized that love into a higher purpose with money where it's being consciously made. And I remember reading this book, We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. I read this book and she gives a statistic talking about how women statistically make less money than men. We know that. But women, even though we're making less, we give back 10 times more. So my little brain got to thinking, and I was like, okay, so that means if I get more money in the hands of heart-led, aligned women that are here to be in the higher service of others and themselves, we can change the fucking world. So how do I get more money in the hands of women? And I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love helping women in entrepreneurship and building a healthy relationship with money. Like all of it just kind of goes hand in hand. And now I'm like walking my purpose, walking everything that lights my pussy on fire because I know the change that will happen when more women have money and that power dynamic starts to shift and we start leading with more love and we start leading with more intention and we start leading with more of a higher picture of inclusivity and creating equitable spaces and making sure that everyone gets to rise as opposed to white, old men.
Yes.
We love them too, but they've had their turn.
I love it. And oh my gosh, I love Rachel Rogers too. I'm such a fan of her work. She was a mentor of mine back in the day. And I am so just celebratory of that truth that, when money is in the hands of good people, good things happen. And I think there is a lot of that conditioning around there of, sometimes subconsciously women disconnect from money because they feel like it's bad or it is associated with that patriarchal kind of picture that many of us grew up with. Like, we got to succeed. We got to extract from ourselves until there's nothing left. And we've got to just climb this corporate ladder and give all of ourselves until there's nothing left, which at the end of the day really doesn't serve anyone because then you're stuck in that cycle, right? Of just on the treadmill, right? With the golden handcuffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes sense though. It's generational things that have happened throughout our lineage as women, especially. It is a part of a very capitalistic, patriarchal structure where, if we even think about our education system, our free education system, it was created by Rockefeller, who literally wanted little factory worker bees. And the system hasn't changed much. So it's so natural for us just to repeat those patterns. I have a membership, and in the membership, we're doing a 30-day money manifestation challenge. And we're just a few days in. So we're really starting to peel back some layers, identifying some money stories, rewriting those stories, and everything you said. I look at some of these stories and they're so similar. So many of the women are like, I grew up like that. I remember having to hide what we bought from our dad, or my dad used to use money as kind of this power over the family, or I was always told that you have to work hard and you have to work so hard for money. And the people that did have money, they either were born into it or they're bad people, and I'm just like, all of this has to go. This is not your story to take on. You've identified, let's move on. Let's create your own story, because I know if you have lots of money, you are literally going to pour it back into community and create the most beautiful ecosystem of change.
I am curious because when we're talking about a lot of the things that don't serve us when we want to attract more wealth, and I want to back up for a minute for those of the listeners out there who might not kind of get the full power of quantum coaching and what that means. Because I think this is a huge energetic point. I would love if you would speak to that a little bit, just to kind of set the understanding.
Ooh. So when I think about being a quantum coach and playing in the quantum realm, I think about miracle consciousness. Miracle consciousness is essentially a world where anything is possible. So I don't like to play in this world of limitations and structures and systems. I like to play outside of that and almost play a game with the universe of show me how good it gets. What's beyond this? I like to question everything. When I work with my clients, if they told me that they wanted to be a pink unicorn that could fly to the moon, I would be like, babe, let's figure it out. Let's go. I don't want to play with what rules society has deemed as appropriate. And when we think about the science behind quantum physics, it's all of the different realities are happening at once. If you can close your eyes and you can picture the world through your lens, it's existing somewhere. If you can picture your life living wealthy. And I mean by wealthy in these terms, whatever you define as wealthy. Is it more time with your kids? Is it traveling in an RV across the country? Is it flying first class? Whatever that means, if you can see it, it's already a part of your reality. It's just how do we start to hop timelines and align your energy, align your energetics, the identity of who you are to step more into who that woman is so you can actually begin to live that life that you can envision for yourself.
I'm curious about that. I love this so much because it's powerful and it can be hard to wrap your head around sometimes. But, there is that truth to the fact that if we can conceive of something, right, that it is possible somewhere. And so for those that might have a hard time or don't let themselves dream like that, because I know that can be really hard for many high achieving people because they're so wrapped up in everything that they have to take care of and all the responsibilities. It can be hard to center their dreams or, what's the next thing that they actually want. I'm curious if you would share what maybe some tools they could use to work through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy you said that because you're absolutely right. I can sit here today and be like, oh, anything is possible. It's great. But I was not always that girl. I was numbing. I was like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't have hobbies. I don't know what to dream. That's not a part of my existence. I'm just here to survive. So I'm so happy you asked that. I think that there's a number of things, right? Healing is so nonlinear, and I think it varies per person. But some of the most common things that I usually see are making sure that you are in the room with other expansive women, having the correct community surround you to help mirror to you how incredible you are, what is possible, I think is so important. So having that correct community, I think, is number one. And if you are in a space where you're like, I don't have those people. I was that girl. I was like, I don't have those people in my life. I can't lean on my family. I don't have the friends that really see me or love me for who I am. I'm just trying to make it by. I think you can surround yourself with the correct things that you're consuming. What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? Do you feel expanded? Do you feel inspired? Do you feel uplifted? Make sure you're surrounding yourself with the correct kind of content, because we're absorbing everything. Everything that we're absorbing is creating our realities at an unconscious level. I love to play with visualizations. Visualizations for me are so potent. Our unconscious mind is unable to process the difference between what is quote unquote reality and what is quote unquote a dream. I like to play this test. Can we play like a little game right now? I think your listeners will love it.
Yes.
So if you're driving, don't close your eyes, but you'll probably still get the gist. So table it, maybe come back to it. But Amanda will have you close your eyes and we'll play a little game and we'll show how powerful visualization is and how much visualization can truly become your reality in this exact moment. So Amanda, I want you to just think about you sitting in your living room in your favorite spot. You can feel like the comfy cushion underneath you. You can feel the feet on the floor. And I want you to look down at your feet and stand up. And I want you to just walk over to your kitchen. What color are your cabinets? Does it smell like the food that you just cooked? Where's the refrigerator? Where's the sink? And I want you to walk into the kitchen because all of a sudden there is a cutting board on the countertop with a knife and a beautiful, perfectly ripe, bright yellow lemon. And I want you to go and put your hand on the lemon. You can kind of feel that rind and the texture. You can feel it's pretty firm. It's a little slippery feeling. And I want you to take one hand and hold that lemon, make sure it's nice and secure and safe. And in the other hand, I want you to take the knife and I want you to cut that lemon in half. And as you cut it, you can kind of see some of that rind burst with its fragrance. You can see the juice start to slowly drip out of the lemon. And I want you to take half of that lemon and take your knife and cut it in half again. Maybe this time you have a little bit of that lemon juice on your hand. And I want you to pick up the quarter of the lemon that you just cut. And I want you to bring it close to your face, just under your nose, right before it touches your lips. And take a nice inhale in. I love the smell of citrus. And I want you to then put that lemon in your mouth and suck on it for just a second. You can feel the juice. You can feel your fingers are a little wet. Maybe a seed even fell. And I want you to put that lemon down. And I want you to open your eyes and come back to me. What just happened?
So this is really fun. I love these visualizations. I'm very good at visualize. So for me, it's easy to visualize. And I, just even that, I even noticed at the end, like my mouth is puckering and smelling it and feeling it and just kind of feeling a little more open in my chest, feeling a lot more refreshed. It's so good.
It is. Your body had like a physical reaction just to your visualization.
Yes.
Even me talking about it, my mouth started to water.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to kind of debunk a myth because sometimes I hear my clients and they're like, I'm not a visual person, which can be true. We do have other like auditory, gustatory, we have other senses that are maybe stronger. And we are all visual. Our unconscious, the way that our mind operates, it's constantly operating in pictures. So like, for example, if I tell you, don't think about a blue tree, your unconscious is still thinking about a blue tree. So I love visualizations, like play in the visualization. Even if right now your dream life is just to take a nap, visualize yourself taking a nap. If right now your visualization is to travel somewhere, envision traveling and feeling the ocean water on your toes and the sand. Like you get to play with this, and no matter where you are on your journey, allow it to be a place where you can be nourished.
I think that's such a powerful thing because, in our busy lives, we often want like that 2-week trip to Tahiti to nap or whatever it might be. That might not be realistic, but if you let yourself go there for even 2 minutes, like those little pockets can make such a difference to your nervous system when you can really allow yourself to drop in there. That's such a helpful tool. Thank you for that fun. I love it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I think that just, is a good example for those, like you say, listening who like, but it feels hard. It can. And there's many ways you can access it. But I think, really allowing yourself to dream about what you want is so important because that's our compass, right? It's our compass.
It really is. And I tend to think about, we're all mirrors, right? We're all mirrors to each other. We're all reflecting things to one another. And typically in the areas where you're feeling most activated, maybe even a little envy or jealous, that's usually needing to be unpacked a little bit more. And that's probably because at some level, you're craving that and you're desiring that. So if you're still kind of stuck in that, like, but I'm not sure what I want, really take a look at what's really activating you and go in that inward journey and really start to unpack what that means for you.
I'm curious too, because I know one of the other things you talk a lot about, which I think this is such a interesting and powerful concept, is about getting paid just to exist. So would you share more about that concept? Because it like brings chills on my arms. I love that.
Yes. So getting paid to exist actually came from a very dark place. Recently this year, my business was exploding. I had just hit my highest cash month. And it was almost like my nervous system took like a left-hand turn. And I've managed depression ever since I was in middle school. It's something that's been ongoing. And I felt like when I lost my job and I found my purpose, I was like, oh, I found my purpose. It cured my depression. I'm good. That wasn't true. It came back because I found out that it's because I'm working out of alignment. And so I was in a very dark place. I mean, I was unable to get out of bed for several days. Like I was sobbing on the kitchen floor several days because the only thing I could do was eat. That was like my biggest win for the day. And instead of resisting what was happening in my body, resisting the gift that I was been given to just slow down and stop, I needed to reflect. I needed to recalibrate. I had a lot of things being mirrored to me that I was ignoring within my own business, the way that I was leading. And through that really dark journey, it came to this phrase, and it was like, you help your women lead with so much feminine energy. But on the back end of your business right now, you are surviving in that wounded masculine that we said that we were going to stop, which is easier said than done, right? Like our nervous system and our unconscious is so programmed in the safety of what it once knew. And I was like, we are divine fucking beings. We are women. We are fucking powerful. We can create life. Like, I'm so done leading with the masculine. I still want to embody the masculine because we have both, and they both need to exist to be able to really uplift each other and highlight the best parts of each other, the feminine and the masculine. But I want to teach women how to get paid to fucking exist. That we get to make money, that we get to do things through pleasure instead of pressure. We get to do the thing that lights us up the most. We get to create businesses around our lifestyle instead of our lifestyle having to be created around our business. If you're a mom and you want to work 2 days a week, let's fucking do that. If you want to pour your energy into healing the world and helping the planet, let's fucking do that. We get to do anything that we want to do, and we get to do it with more ease, with more play, with more creativity, with more pleasure. And that all stems from going on a intimate journey of self and truly becoming embodied into the woman that we know that we are. Before the world said that was bad, before media told us that we needed face creams and we were ugly and we were too fat and we're too skinny and we're too old and we're too young and all, like the Barbie movie, right? That scene in the Barbie movie. Before that happened, I want to help a woman get paid to exist. I see it with my clients all of the time. When they actually step back from the hypermasculine, when they step more into the feminine, when they start leading with more pleasure and playing in their business. I have clients that are like, I had no idea play in business was even like in the same reality as each other. So how do we lean more into that? Because A, you are enough because you exist, period, end of story, end of sentence. And knowing that embodiment is what helps you get paid to exist.
That's so powerful. Just that worthiness piece. Hey, it's Amanda. If you are enjoying the show and felt a connection to what we've discussed, and you're ready to take the next step in reigniting your passion and enhancing your relationships, I have something special for you. Visit www.amandatesta.com/thegoods, where you can subscribe to my email. And if you want, you can sign up for a free personalized sensuality discovery session with me. In this one-on-one heart-to-heart session, we'll explore your unique desires, uncover any challenges, and set a path for you to experience the vibrant, fulfilling love life you deserve. Don't let another day pass feeling unfulfilled or disconnection. Take action now, and let's start this beautiful journey together to fire up your feminine fire. Join me at amandatesta.com/thegoods. I'm excited to stay connected. Now back to the show. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago in the podcast around this archetype that I love called the soul seed, which is all around your worthiness, right? You are, no matter what your conditions were, they might not have been the most ideal, but that little seed, that part of you, that your aliveness, your original essence came here. And when it was gestating, it got what it needed. It got enough to be here, right? You got enough to be born and to be here now. So like that, connecting to that and that worthiness piece of like, yes, I matter and I am here and I am deserving and worthy of what I want. It's such a powerful, beautiful thing for women to connect to. And it is not always easy, but it is so beautiful when you can. And I think too, I'm curious for this because I know obviously there is so much challenge out there for women and mothers and caregivers and all the hats that many wear with regards to, taking care of all the things. And so finding time to prioritize yourself or be able to even listen to that voice feels challenging. And I think too, especially for entrepreneurs, have had my business for over a decade now. And, back when I first started in online business, it was the way to do it was very old school. right? A lot of the old school masterminds. And I've spent literally $500,000 on coaching and training and masterminds. And I just first got into my business that same way, just like burning myself out on all ends. Because that's kind of, again, what we're taught. I'm like, oh, well, I did this in the corporate world, so now I'm going to do it in my business. And you have that added passion, like, oh, this is so amazing. I love what I'm doing. I'm going to change the world. And you can find yourself in that, like, burning yourself out. And so it's like realizing, okay, but this is not how we do things. And there's different ways. And for me, it was also like a big burnout that happened in like the end of 2018. And my business was blowing up and I was so overwhelmed. And I just realized at that moment, like, this is not going to be the way we're going to do this moving forward. But it was relearning and doing a lot of nervous system healing. And that's when I started, doing a lot more somatic experiencing and learning about how trauma impacts us and how we show up in our work. But I think for that, like, I'm curious for you, what else helped you kind of move away from that dark night when you were like, yeah, I'm not going to do it this way anymore? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge your journey up until this point. I'm so happy you said that. And again, I want to highlight a lot of the things that we've learned is because of conditioning. Like when we step into entrepreneurship, we're bringing patterns from a very patriarchal masculine structure of business. And then usually, especially 10 years ago, even now, a lot of business coaching is still very hyper masculine, focused on male cycles, which are 24 hours, where women have 28-day cycles, and we should be honoring that more. If I hear another coach saying, this is how you're supposed to do it, I am going to scream. It's like the opposite of how I coach. I'm like, no. How do you want to do it? What is your secret sauce? Like, what lights you on fire? That's how we're going to grow your business. And so I see a shift happening in the industry, and I'm so happy that it is becoming more embodied in the sovereignty of the person as opposed to the coach or the mentor. But during the, I'm going to record a podcast episode about this. I haven't done it yet. Or did I record it? No, I'm doing it this week. It's funny you ask that. So I have a high-level mastermind. It's called the Quantum CEO. And during that time frame, I was leading those women on a journey for 6 months. And so everything divinely kind of worked out. When I was having the darkest of episodes, we weren't meeting that week. And then I would feel better when I was meeting with them. And they really fed life into me. So they allowed me to show up in this very beautiful way. And we ended the 6-month mastermind with the retreat. So I was in a house with all of these women. We had just journeyed so deeply and intimately with one another. And I was opening up to them about what had happened over the last couple of months. And I told them, I was like, I was really afraid to tell you ladies because I didn't want you to feel like I wasn't the leader anymore. Again, very like a colonized kind of thought process of I'm the leader, so I have to be on top. I have to be perfect. I have to have it all together. And they were like, thank you for sharing. This actually makes me see you and love you even more. It makes me feel even more grateful that you are our leader because you are actually moving through what is happening. And I was sharing with one of the biggest wounds that I've been working through. I was hosting an event. It's called I Am Woman. It's in LA. And my best friend hosts it. And she allows me to be a part of what she's growing. And I remember going out there and supporting her. And she had so many people fly in to see her. She had so many people supporting her. She just had a baby. And one of the women, she was like, I won't even go to the event. I'll just stay in the mansion. We were hosting it at this huge house in LA. And I'll be upstairs. So you can be close to the baby. You can breastfeed in between sessions. Like, she just had so much support. And that was my moment of like, oh, that's what's wrong. A lot of the other things too were played, right? The hypermasculine and all of these other things. But I was like, that's it. I'm being mirrored my biggest wound back to me. And I feel like I don't have love and I feel like I don't have support. And growing a business is fucking hard, especially when you're getting clients and it feels like this energy of like, pick me. I promise. Like, do you like me? Do you want to work with me? Like, that was the energy, right? That I was like feeling. And all of that was being amplified through what I was creating. And I sat with that and I told her about it. And she was like, thank you for telling me. That's not an easy thing to admit to somebody, that you are kind of, again, jealous and envious of the support you saw around me. That used to be a story. I used to not have people show up for me. I didn't have a support system. I'm not capable of relying on people. But that's not my current reality anymore. but I was still operating from this old version of self. And so it was a deep journey of like going into that darkness. I reached out to a somatic therapist too. I got professional help. I mean, I leaned on my husband. It really was me leaning into the feminine and asking for help and opening my heart to receive and being more in the energy of being as opposed to doing, which doing is much more in the masculine, getting comfortable, which is being, because, I'm a high achiever. And it kind of comes back to the retreat I was talking about. One of the women there, she is so spiritually gifted, and she was kind of coming out of her spiritual closet. And she was giving all of us readings. And she told me, she said, if you really want to unlock the next level in your business and really like connect more to your divine feminine, I need you to suck your husband's dick. And I was like, okay, wait, what? And she was like, it's not me, it's your guys. That's what they're telling me. And I was like, okay. I sat with it for a second and I was like, I've been really interested in studying like the dynamics of like BDSM and using those principles of like submissive and dominant within like your business structure, within your personal life. Like I've been so fascinated with it. And I've told my husband, we've been together for 13 years. But I told him, I was like, because of the sexual assaults that have happened to me in the past, because of everything that's really transpired before our relationship, I've never really felt like my body was mine. I always felt like it was to be in service to men. It was a tool that I could weaponize, that it was my way of getting love from men that did not deserve to even touch my body. I just had this very complicated relationship. It was very performative also. And we've been on this journey of like figuring out pleasures for me. And, that's all my husband wants to do, right? But like I never opened up to him and really expressed how I was feeling within the relationship because I didn't know at the time the pleasures for me. And so she was like, but I need you to suck his dick because I need you to be in the power play. I want you to take like ownership and autonomy and see what it feels like to have control of your own sensuality and your own pleasure in this kind of way. So to kind of get out of the darkness, I started sucking my husband's dick. I also went on a very, very big mushroom journey. I used plant medicine to really help me connect to myself. One of the things for me is I can get very logical. I can get very analytical. My moon, my sun, and my rising are all air signs. If you're into human design, both of my head centers are open and my root center is open. So I have this toy between staying very heavy in the logical and not being grounded into the present. And so the mushroom journey really helped me like embody and connect to like the potency of the work that I'm doing. Really seeing that it is enough, really seeing that I am a human and allowing me to feel the love that I kind of always keep at like an arm's distance. So yeah, I mean, it's very multifaceted. There's probably connecting to my breath. I was doing a lot of somatic breath work also, and I was learning that a lot of the breathing I was having was in my chest, which is typically an indicator of being more in fight or flight. And so my somatic breathwork facilitator, she was like, I need you to be really focused on belly breathing. So I would be at the movies and I could feel my body kind of like disassociating and going into fight or flight. And I would come back to the belly breath. I would go to the mall. Like that's very stimulating for me. And I can get like I don't know what's happening. There's a lot of scents. There's a lot of people. It's too much. And I would just like catch myself breathing in my belly again and like coming back into the body and like learning to regulate in real time, as opposed to like, oh, I'll do breath work today, or, I'll take my bath and I'll focus on the regulation. But it became more of an embodied practice.
I love it. And I think it's interesting because what you share, this is, a lot of the work that I do with my clients, and a lot of my own journey was back when I first started, feeling that my body was not for me. And like, even with my husband, like you, like I realized that I had only opened up my heart and body to him probably like just a fraction of what's available. So when I started doing my own work, and I've had my own sexual self-practice for over a decade now, like really deep into Taoist sexual practices and neo-tantric practices, and really through my own experience as well, like opened up this whole nother way of connecting on a deeper level. And I love that your guides were like, you need to suck your partner's dick. That's what's going to be the answer. And for those listening, being like, hell no, just realize you can always start with yourself first and then work up to that. But, just also realizing like when you really tap into those spiritual levels and the different ways you can play with conscious kink and all the things, it can be really powerful to find your pleasure in whatever you're doing. Right. And if that is taking power, and a lot of the Neo-Tantra I love, it's like really feeling that life force of your partner. And so it's not like if you're turned on looking at their balls for whatever reason, it's like, no, this is like a divine human. And this is a sacred part of their body. When you can have that mind shift, which it takes practice and time, it's so incredible how things shift when you connect. Right. And giving a blowjob becomes it's not just giving a blowjob, it's like a full body orgasmic experience when you can figure that out. Right.
Yeah, 100. And like, I love, my husband is such a beautiful support system in my life. He pours into me and loves me unconditionally. So to be able to have that type of relationship, and trust me, Amanda, when I was like, so I was at the retreat and my guides told me that I'm supposed to suck your dick more. He was like, I volunteer as tribute. Thank you.
Yeah. He wasn't like, no, hell no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, so he's been a beautiful part of the journey, and I'm very blessed to have such a supportive man in my life. And yeah, it's been like an interesting kind of just like dynamic of being able to turn myself on by being able to give him pleasure. It's such an interesting dynamic, and it really is, I feel like, connecting me back to like the power that we have within. And I'm not gonna lie, like when you see them and they're just like completely helpless, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why women should be ruling the world.
We as women often think that we are at the mercy of others, right? Like we are the victim, or we have to have Prince Charming come and save us, which actually is not true. Like we can be the initiatrix of what we want, and specifically in our relationships, because when we have those supportive relationships, it does make it easier to have a successful business because they are in support of what you're doing. And everyone's energy is in coherence with the same goals, right?
Absolutely. And it also translates to making money.
Yeah.
You have to remember our money is another relationship. It's the same relationship we have with our partner. It's an intimate relationship. And so like being able to use that knowing, that deep knowing of just like, I can trust myself. I know for so long we've been taught you don't know how to save. You aren't good with money. We weren't even allowed to have credit cards up until like the 70s without a male co-signing for us. A business bank account. Are you joking? Like,
yeah.
Women at one point there's still women being sold into marriage. There's still women being sold for their bodies right now. And so when we can be in that empowered space, then, sucking dick is maybe one avenue to help you get there.
I love it.
But being empowered of like, no, I can create money. I can create whatever the F I want just because I said so. That's it. That is the only thing you need. You say it, you declare it, and you do it. And you can do it from a place, again, of like playfulness and pleasure, because one of the things also with sucking my husband's dick is being actually in receptivity. Like, even though I'm the one performing, I'm actually receiving so much. And I'm not gonna lie, when you do it more often, your husbands tend to like, I'm like, oh, baby, the kitchen's doing that. It's so exciting for you.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, do you want me to suck your dick right now? Let me make sure this is like positive reinforcement for you.
Oh, man. I think that's so funny. And the other thing, too, about that, I would say is, oftentimes I think it's powerful to give to one another as a gift, right? If it's something that's totally, you're not there, you can't do it, that's a different story. There's ways to work through that. But if it's just like you enjoy it and there's a way to give to each other, there's not a tit for tat. It's more of like you are encouraging this like healthy whole, right? That you build this beautiful container of support and love and gifting and receiving, and it's beautiful, right? So I love that so much. You notice things shift around you.
Yeah, everything starts to shift. You start to be more in your feminine, and then when you're more in your feminine to receive, you see everyone that actually wants to give. Like even when I was in that darkness, when I could sit back that's when the friends were starting to come in and pour love into me and, message me more and ask how they could support and help. My husband was able to come in and hold me because I can, again, be very independent. I got this. But when I'm crying on the bath or the kitchen floor, he's there to, pick me up and just tell me it's okay, that I don't have to worry about anything, that eating is my small win for the day. He's celebrating that with me.
Yeah.
You just start to open your heart more to the receptivity. And that's the same thing in your business. It's the same thing with making money. It's opening yourself up to actually receive, because as women, we're used to always giving.
And I think when you open yourself up like that, that's when the synchronicities, the opportunities, the next right steps are easier to do.
Oh, 100%. When I got through that darkness and I was like, okay, I'm coming back out. I'm going to start working on my business again. I started getting opportunities dropping in my lap again. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's not like you just sit around and sit on your laurels and expect everything to come. No, there's actually, it's just an alignment. And then the work that you do, it feels easier and more doable. And you find the doable ways, right, to go about it versus extracting from yourself or feeling like you have to do it all alone, or that model that is just not sustainable.
Yeah,
Not at all.
It's not sustainable. And then when we take it to the next layer, so I see money, not that this is a linear process either, but typically it starts with healing your money. And then we start making a lot of money in your business. And then we actually start alchemizing that into wealth. And I feel like wealth has such a multifaceted meaning. Your health is wealth. That is the ultimate wealth, right? We can look at so many things in our lives as being wealthy. The air that we're breathing in, the home that I'm living in provides such a wealthy life. And when I think about more of a masculine structure of wealth is how do we take your money and create wealth building assets? So then your money is working for you. Your money is paying for your lifestyle. Your money is going into politicians that are actually for the people and creating laws and policies that are actually supporting the people, as opposed to the BS that we're seeing right now. And so that is also almost like the next layer of getting paid to exist. Then literally your money is working for you and you are no longer working for your money. So how do we move you along that process? Because when I talk to women about wealth building, they're like, wait, what? Real estate, houses? I'm like, it's so, yes, and it's so much cheaper than that. We have to escape the poverty mindset that has been indoctrinated into us, the same as being a working bee and working corporate and burning yourself out, and thinking more with a wealth mindset. How do we actually make this money sustainable and last for generations and pour that money back into community to create lasting change for generations?
Oh, yes. You speaking my language here. I love it so much. I love that because I think too, people often think, yeah, it's complicated. It's hard, but it's really not. It's learnable. It's not as challenging as you think. So again, trusting that you can do it. And it doesn't have to be that hard, and especially with help. One last question that I have is, because we didn't get as much time to talk about this, but I would love if you would share a little bit more about your thoughts around money as an energy. And we were just talking too about, orgasmic energy. And I'm such a big fan of using your orgasmic energy to fuel your other passions. And it connects with money a lot. So I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Yes. Money, well, everything is energy. If we think about the science of life, everything is energy. When we look at atoms, they're all vibrating. And they're all vibrating. Some are slower, some are higher. Same thing with money. So if we can start to align our energy and start attracting that to come to us easily and effortlessly, we have to look at money like it's anything else. We assign meaning to money. If we think about history, seashells used to be currency. We used to trade that, and that was a valuable asset. We look at today's day, now we think about dollars. And it's interesting now because we're even kind of shying away from dollars and coins, and it's all digital. So we give money its power. And we've been conditioned and we've kind of learned that it's almost like this separate entity from us. It's this far away, unachievable thing when really we've given it that definition. And so just like anything else, we can attract that easily. And if we think about the language and the words around money, I'm very, very, very big when it comes to language. Holds so much weight. It holds so much power. It speaks to the unconscious very literally. And all of the language around money is very feminine. It's, we make it rain. We call it currency. It's all fluid. It's like water. What else do we say with money? We say we want to live in overflow with money. It's always representing a very feminine aspect. So I like to think about money as like a masculine and a feminine energy. It has both. I think by nature, it's very masculine because of how we've defined it. It provides security. It's very stable. It's very consistent. And it loves to flow into something feminine because it's also very like liquid and malleable. It's constantly changing. And it wants to come into something to receive. And to build a healthy relationship with money and thinking about the energetics of masculine and feminine when it comes to money, I usually see two sides of the spectrum with clients. It's either I have it and it's gone instantly. Like, I know I can make it. Like, I can look around. My lifestyle has changed. I've literally always had it, but it's never there. It never stays. Or I have like a very scarce mindset around it. And so I hoard it. I feel like it's like once it's spent, it's gone. And like, I just need more and more and more to be able to feel safe. And so how we help balance those two things is for us to be a little bit more in our feminine, to be able to receive, to open our hearts to have it, to really align with that same energetic, like fluid frequency. And also have very masculine structures so that money feels safe within like us. Like, so it wants to stay with us. So we have accounts, things are being directly deposited. We have purpose and intention for the money. We have a high level of respect for the money. We have a lot of masculine structures. We're structuring our business so it makes sense. And we have different funnels to be able to receive the money. We have ways that we're keeping our clients within our community and our ecosystem, which helps, again, keep the money flowing within our businesses. So there's a lot of masculine structure that needs to take place so it feels safe and it feels easy. While we can just kind of create and we can kind of just be in our magic and we don't have to worry about it. I feel like the more that you worry about money in your business, the harder your business feels.
Yes, I love that. Oh, thank you so much. I feel like I could just keep talking and talking with you. It's been such a joy to receive your wisdom. And I would love if you would just share, where people can find more about you and where they can connect with you, all that good stuff.
Yes, I'm most active on Instagram right now. So Kelly, Kelly, Noble, Noble .coaching. I'm on a 3-month journey right now, an experiment. So I had about 3 months of survival that I kind of talked about. I was in the shadows. I was in the darkness. I had about a month back, like full on in my business again. And I think I'm going to take the next 3 months to thrive in my business.
Yeah.
I'm really going to like play in my business. And so I might be more active on TikTok. I do have one. It's the same handle. I started a membership. You can find that at kellynoblecoaching.com right now. And I love my membership because it's just a way for me to be so close to my community. We're doing a 30-day money challenge. We have a book club. You get monthly hot seat coaching in your business. We do monthly activations. I may have some other things coming throughout the next 3 months, but I don't know yet. And I'm kind of really like stepping back and like surrendering to this process. And I'm allowing it all to like just drop in for me.
I love it. Well, I will make sure to put in the show notes where you can find more about Kelly and connect with her. And this is such a fun conversation. Thank you so much again. Any last things that you would like to share before we close?
I think we hit it really hard on the head during this episode, but it really is, it's something that I remind my clients constantly. It is, you are enough because you exist, period. And just coming back to that knowing and truth, no matter what season you are in, no matter what darkness you are moving through, no matter what huge celebration that you are celebrating, all of the different beautiful, intricate facets of who you are is enough right now in this present moment. Nothing has to be changed. You are divinely perfect, exactly the way you are.
What a beautiful way to end. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Find Your Feminine Fire podcast. If you loved this episode, please go ahead and forward it right now to someone you know would love it. And if you've not had a chance yet to leave us a rave review on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to rate and review if you enjoyed it, as well as make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you want to stay connected, make sure to go to amandatesta.com/thegoods to download your free sensuality activation and stay connected. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.